Hello, everyone. It is finally, it's been a while, another edition of Spinistry Chat, a super duper special edition of Spinistry Chat. We'll talk about that shortly. First off, we want to thank our sponsors, the wonderful members of Club Spinistry. Thank y'all very much. Without you, we couldn't be doing this. No way, no how. And just for y'all, we got some really cool stuff coming for Club Spinistry members. After February 15th, go to ridespinistry.com. We're going to have a special way for those that are looking for state bicycles. We will have a special discount, 25% off state bicycles for Club Spinistry members. Also, Gravel Worlds and the Gravel Worlds Gravel Camp. The folks up in Nebraska have been kind enough to offer Club Spinistry members 20% discounts off of Gravel Camp in April. And the world famous one and only Gravel Worlds out of Nebraska in August. I'm going to be at one or the other, possibly both. Haven't figured that out yet. Again, after February 15th, go to ridespinistry.com and we'll give you instructions on how to take advantage of those fantastic deals. Thank you, State Bicycle Company, and thank you, Gravel Worlds. Thank you, Club Spinistry members. And a special thank you. Really excited today to bring on board Mr. David King with the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, and he's going to give us the lowdown, the slither, so to speak, all about the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind. Welcome, David.
How are you today, sir?
I am excellent. Wait a minute, let's see if I can make this work. There we go. Yeah. All right. That's enough of lack of production value there. I am in beautiful downtown Sweetwater, Texas. And made my way the long way around from Fort Worth to Sweetwater today. And David was gracious enough to invite me to his office to have a chat with him and talk about the 2025 edition of the Rattlesnake. It's Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, right? Is that the proper word?
Yes, sir.
Rattlesnake Gravel Grind. For those not in the know, how obviously it's Texas and there's rattlesnakes. I'm thinking there's a little bit more to it around here. Can you give us the lowdown on why it's called the Rattlesnake?
Well, the Sweetwater Junior Chamber of Commerce, known as the Sweetwater JCs, 60 some odd years ago, started the Rattlesnake Roundup, which became world famous and attracts over 30,000 people every year to the Sweetwater for what started out as an education for farmers and ranchers and locals on how to handle rattlesnakes in the environment. I don't believe Sweetwater, this area, has any more rattlesnakes than anywhere else in Texas. But we quickly became known for it, just because of how fast the Roundup, blew up.
It gained in popularity.
It gained in popularity, and it brings people from all over the world to our little town. It's hard to not think of Sweetwater along with rattlesnakes, but a lot of people that I met throughout my life, especially during college, they'd say, well, are you kicking rattlesnakes off your front porch, or, are they just everywhere? And same thing I just said to you. They're not everywhere. They're not anywhere.
No thicker here than any other part of Texas.
No thicker here than any, your hometown. So, but because of the name, the familiarity with rattlesnakes, it just kind of seemed like a fitting name for whenever we put a label on the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind.
So is the Roundup around the same time as your gravel grinder, or are those two totally different occasions?
Last year, this year, and what we're planning on next year is going to be the following week. So the Rattlesnake Roundup is always the second weekend in March. And it just so happens the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind has fallen the third weekend in March. So it's kind of the way it just fell on the calendar. It's an open weekend. Actually, oddly enough, we're looking at hunting season around here.
Yes.
You probably can tell just by spending time in this area, there's a plethora of wildlife around here. Farmers and ranchers, a big part of their income is leasing their land out. And maybe what makes the Rattlesnake Roundup so unique is the fact that we're able to cross over some private ranches.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that.
So we've got beautiful gravel roads around here. Matter of fact, the other event that I help out with here in town, Beat the Streets, is added gravel events, and we're just on the public, gravel roads. We can go in any direction in on gravel roads. But whenever we started with the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, we wanted to make it unique and special. This is a benefit for the volunteer fire departments, and the volunteer fire departments are what keep the farms and ranches safe around here. So in working with the farmers and ranchers, they opened up their gates and said, come on in, because they knew that the event was supporting the volunteer fire department, which takes care of them. It's all kind of part of the community project that the Rattlesnake Roundup or Rattlesnake Gravel Grind is. You hear about what's that race in Colorado?
SBT gravel.
SBT
and
gravel.
Some of the hardships they're up against these days.
Yeah. Farmers and ranchers in that area aren't real happy with the gravel bike race, and I guess it doesn't really benefit them in the same way. And so there's kind of been some back and forth on that end. But you'll see, at our event, they're at their front gate holding it open for you and saying, come on in. And it's not necessarily to do anything other than they know that the benefits of the event are going to help them on the back end whenever the volunteer fire departments show up to keep their land safe. So
that's fantastic to hear. With our events over the years, we've seen both sides of it ourselves. We've had the local communities that are extremely supportive, and then we've had local landowners that, even though they're public roads, you're getting in the way of what I'm doing. And I understand where they're
Sure.
coming from. So I'm not dismissing it. So it's fantastic to hear that y'all have such a fantastic relationship with the property owners.
Well, there's only about 14,000 people in our entire county.
Really?
And so not a lot going on out here.
Okay.
So it's easy to get the word out, and everybody kind of understands what the event's for, the purpose behind it. So it's easier to build the community, get the support around it. If it was in a larger community in a different place, it wouldn't really work out the same.
I understand. I had no idea 14,000 was y'all's population, and I come from a smaller town myself, but the town itself was probably 12 or 14,000. The county probably upwards of 35 or 40,000.
Right.
So that makes it, that population density makes a big difference. There's no doubt about that. And y'all do have a pretty darn good network of FM roads around here as well. So even when folks are on the dirt roads, you're not ever too far from just hopping on over to the FM and getting around it. So yeah. I think it all comes together for a really good piece. So give me a quick rundown. First off, what distances do y'all offer?
Well, we call it the Rattlesnake 100, the Rattlesnake 70, the Rattlesnake 50, Rattlesnake 30, Rattlesnake 14. The only one that's accurate out of all those is the Rattlesnake 14. That's 14 miles. The 30 mile is 30 something miles. The
I always
50
call mine ish.
Ish, yeah, they are ish. 50 miles is 50 something, 70 something. And then the 100 mile, it looks like it's going to be 105.7, so almost 106 miles. So people get their money's worth whenever they come out here. We're going to make sure that we give them more than what they expect. The long route, the 105 mile route, 106 mile route, whatever we want to call it, it's going to cross over 14 ranches.
14?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
In Nolan and Taylor County. The 70 mile will cross over about 10. 50 miles, same thing. It'll cross over about 10. The 30 mile will just cross over 2. the 14 mile is over 2 as well. And it's 90% gravel. Very little pavement, maybe half a mile to get on the gravel roads of 2 ranches out and back, and full support, rest stops, aid stations, all that stuff, even on the short route.
What sort of spacing do y'all have on the aid stations and the rest stop, or is it just kind of scattered?
They are scattered. There are wind turbine companies and oil field companies that are out on the route, that are set up, and they maybe float in different locations. In addition to the 5 volunteer fire departments that help out with the event, we also have the Nolan County Amateur Radio Association, and they're rovers. They're the SAG support throughout the event. There's also quite a few people around this area that have dual sport motorcycles,
Mm-hmm.
and they help out as well. So the support for the event is maybe overdone, but we always want to make sure everybody's safe and everybody gets back home to their family at the end of it. And like I said, the volunteering for the event's kind of taken a life of its own. Everybody's just got behind it
That's
fully
fantastic.
around this area. So it's been neat to see that, because I get phone calls or text messages, hey, how can I help out? And like I said, since it's a small community, not a whole lot of people around here, word travels fast and people get behind it. So
Yeah, and I just want to throw this in before I forget. I know we touched on it, but particularly if you're doing the 105, 106 miler, to access private property on 14 different ranches, you're not going to find that anywhere else. This is worth getting out and seeing something that you won't ever see any other time of the year. So that's pretty special. That kind of reminds me in a way almost of the Vermejo charcoal burner out in New Mexico. It's on Ted Turner's private ranch. You're not going to see these things without the aid of the event itself. So I think just that alone makes it super special, but it sounds like there's a lot of other pieces that make y'all's event special as well. It's really cool to hear. Are any of these distances or all of the distances, are they timed? Is there a competitive component to the event?
they're all chip timed. The only events that aren't chip timed are the pre-rides. We have pre-rides, and then Sunday morning we have a recovery ride. Those aren't chip timed. That's just a bunch of us out there having fun, riding our bikes. Saturday's the business end of it, and that's whenever we have Red Dirt Race Management, the same chip timing company that does Mid-South and Gravel Locos and probably Gravel Worlds, all the big events. They've been down here with us ever since we started, and they've always done a great job. Tyler Jackson's the announcer of the event, and he's quite the character, and he always, keeps everybody moving. So we like them. We plan to partner with them, going forward. The pre-rides, they're a lot of fun, and they've really taken a life of their own since we started this. First, we just kind of had a VIP ride Friday morning. Last couple of years, it's actually turned into morning and afternoon. Last year, a lot of people were messaging saying, well, I want to come down. I'll be there Wednesday. And I said, well, I ride on Wednesdays. Let's get together. And so it turned, from just a couple of us riding to, I think we had about 15 last year. It looks like there'll be probably double that on the Wednesday ride. And then the Thursday ride, same thing. There's probably 40 or 50 that got together on that. And then all day on Friday last year, we just had tons of people out riding. So that was really fun. Sunday morning last year, the wind really picked up. I mean, there's no wonder there's so many wind turbines around here.
The turbines are here for a reason, right?
Sunday morning, everybody woke up, the wind was howling. But still about 25 of us got out and then did a recovery ride. And it's one of those things, you wouldn't go do it on your own. You'd hit the snooze button that morning, but if you knew you had some buddies out there that wanted to get out and ride, you'd join up with them. And so that's what we did.
Good deal.
So
they're all chip timed. Are any of these official races with awards and prizes or categories or anything? How does that structure work on y'all's end?
Well, our friend Jamie Tracy, he's got a 3D printer. I saw him at your event. He made us snakes, and years past we always had belt buckles for the podium prizes along with moose packs. This year, Jamie made these really sweet rattlesnakes. They never look like they're alive. You really got to look at them and make sure that they're not moving. Anyway, he did such a good job on them. Moose Packs is also going to be a podium sponsor, and they have since the beginning. And they've actually got custom bags for us this year. In years past, they had certain colors. And they kind of let everybody pick it out. This year, they made us a special edition for the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, and anyway, very thankful for their support, through it all, because not a lot of people want to get behind a first year event, and they jumped in and they were there for us, and we can't say enough good things about them.
And what edition are we on this year?
This will be the 4th year.
4th edition. Excellent. Any expansion plans or changes going forward, or things that you're wanting to do differently or playing with, or if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Well, it's kind of been 3 distances, and I think that's kind of just I guess you'd call it like an industry standard to have, a short, medium, long distance route. Some of them just do a medium and a long distance route. There are people that, as you noticed, there's hills around here. This part of Texas is not flat. So we kind of found some mid-range routes, with the 50. And some people want to bring their kids out. And so that's where we came up with the 14-mile. All the routes, cross over each other and all come together. The routes, the mid-range routes. And so just give people more options to where they can ride a route that they feel comfortable with and finish up and have a good time afterwards. And that may be another thing that makes the Gravel Grind special, is it's not just the ride, it's after the ride that really I think a lot of people hang out for. So.
I've heard really good things about y'all's after party. Now, so it's a county of 14,000 people. Correct me if I'm wrong. I find it highly unlikely that the vast majority of your event attendees are from the local area.
We have about 10 of us that are riding gravel pretty regular. And I'd say I'm the only one that's not going to be riding on Saturday morning.
And how many people showed up for the last year's event?
343.
Okay. So 9 of them were locals.
Yeah. Within, a short distance from here, I call Midland, Odessa a short distance. Quite a few gravel riders out there. San Angelo, you got Lubbock. Snyder has quite a few, and of course Abilene does. And so in that area, there's a good bit of a draw. I would say the majority of the riders that we have are probably from the DFW area that come down here. Sweetwater's not necessarily close to DFW, but you get on I-20 and it's a straight shot. You just set your cruise and you're here before you know it.
It's not tough to get.
It's
here.
not a difficult drive at all. So,
and it is definitely a change of pace from the gravel over that way. So folks are around DFW that are looking for something different that haven't been out here yet. I definitely highly encourage it. You're going to be surprised. This is that transition area it's where East Texas transitions to West Texas, but is also starting to transition down to the hill country as well. It all kind of comes together in this spot, and you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, just 10 miles to the west of us, it's flat. 10 miles to the north of us, it's flat. But you get out southeast of town, and that's where the hills and canyons and valleys and everything are, and that's what makes up the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind course is going up and down hills and valleys and through the canyons. And
Do do any of those ranch access areas go through anything like canyons or through particularly hilly spots or things that might be kind of a, something on the bucket list? I'm glad I saw that sort of thing.
yes, sir. The what I think a lot of people consider the highlight of the event is actually on my grandmother's ranch. And that's kind of how the conversation started with different landowners was I'd call them up and I'd say, and most of them just know me as my dad's son. They don't know me, but I'd get their number from my dad and I'd reach out to them and I'd say, I wouldn't ask you to do anything that we're not doing. The place is this race is going to cross over our own property. And my dad, the only reason he'd let anybody do that is because he knows it benefits the volunteer fire department. Would you be willing to? And I just kind of went down the list, and everybody said the same thing. Sure, I'll do it because I know it benefits the volunteer fire department. But otherwise, no. It wasn't. It wasn't. Hey, let's talk about something else. It was. There's one reason we'll let you cross our property.
I get it completely.
This is it. But once again, the farmers and ranchers got behind it. And so anyway, going back to our property, we have a hill, and it's about 3/4 of a mile. It's steep. And the first year, everybody came back, and they're like, oh, that dang hill out there. I can't believe I had to get off. I had to push my bike and they'd kind of jaw a little bit, and they'd say, the next year, I'm going to be able to, get up that hill. And whenever I talk to people, afterwards, they were just so excited about that hill. And one reason that it makes it special is, as we were talking about how it's flat north of here, once you get up on top of it, you can see forever. And as you're going up the side of it, same thing, you can see forever. And so it presents a beautiful view. As you were saying earlier, you're not going to get to see this any other day of the year. So, but as you go up on our property and you start going down the list of these different ranches, you're up on top of that hill. It's called the Trent Mesa. And you cross over 4 or 5 ranches. You look to the south, it's Mulberry Canyon. You look to the north, you can see all the way up to the Double Mountains in Aspermont. And so, anyway, just beautiful view. You're riding right under the wind turbines. And so, perfect roads. You don't have to worry about traffic.
And when those wind turbines are going, it's pushing you. It's giving you a tailwind, right?
We'd like to say that. There might have been some headwind over the years, but all in all, everybody seems to have a good time with it. And so the wind turbines and the oil field roads are very well kept around here. And so they're as good, if not better, than the county roads in most circumstances. Now, there are ranch roads that are 2-track that you're probably familiar with. So you can get off the beaten path a little bit on our event. But that's another thing that kind of keeps it spicy to where, there's such a varying terrain. Sometimes you're on very smooth gravel roads. There is a little bit of pavement on all the roads or on all the different routes. But, you're going from very smooth gravel roads that are county roads to ranch roads to 2-track to climbing up hills, going down valleys. So you get to see a large variation in the area around here, and you get to see it from a different viewpoint other than just your car windows.
No doubt. Now, gosh forbid it's a bad weather weekend and it's rainy. What are the roads around here like if there is some rain during the event or the days leading up to it?
Well, sure, that's always something to be concerned about. But with the caliche roads, they can take the rain in most circumstances. So There would be some parts of it that might get a little bit sticky, but it would still be passable. Um, Once again, farmers and ranchers, they got to get around too, and so their roads are in generally pretty good shape because they're using them as well. So we can guide our way around it.
Very good. Now, you touched on the after party a little earlier, and I have heard some rumblings and good stories about that, but no details myself. What's your after party situation here?
Well, I guess first we can break it down with food. Um, Friday and Saturday of the event, we have last year it was just two brothers that got out there with a flat iron and cooked breakfast both days, Friday and Saturday. Bacon and eggs and sausage. Um, Around here, around this part of the country, we throw everything we can in a tortilla, and so a lot of us were just sitting around eating bacon and egg burritos. Of course, we had the standard stuff, donuts and coffee and such. But everybody really enjoyed the breakfast, and it was just a time, a fellowship. Everybody got together and maybe ate too much before they got on the bike both days. But we served breakfast, lunch, dinner Friday and Saturday. On Friday, last year, this year again, the Nolan Volunteer Fire Department, one of their signature fundraisers is they do a fish fry every year. And Rich Waldersmith.
I know
He
Rich
actually-
very well.
He comes down here to go to the Nolan fish fry and their barbecues. They're kind of known for their cooking. Anyway, one of their big fundraisers is their fish fry every year, and they volunteered to cook fish or fry fish on that Friday of the event, and they got all their pots out there, and they cook up one of the best meals, my favorite meal out of the whole thing. I'd say on Friday, I should say that. Friday evening, First Financial Bank here in town, they call it, and we call it the Friday fajita dinner, and it's during packet pickup. But they get out there with their big grills, and they've been very supportive of the event. They feed a lot of people, but beef and chicken fajitas, all the fixings, everything's there for you. Going to Saturday, once again, breakfast, lunch is served by Dunnigan Trucking. Bo Dunnigan's a friend of mine, and he's got a dual sport. I never really have made a connection between the two to everyone, but Bo's been the one that's led the gravel grind throughout the whole event the last few years. Anyway, once again, he's been very supportive. So they cook up hot dogs and hamburgers, kind of standard stuff, after the ride. The local Mrs. Baird's distributor around here, they donate all the buns. And so we have plenty of food for everyone after the ride. Saturday's kind of the fancy meal, I guess, at the end of the day.
Okay, tell me more.
Grace Farms, some friends of mine, they travel around the country. They've got a chuck wagon that they cook for wounded warriors. They have a ranch just north of town, and they bring wounded warriors out to their place and just very supportive of veterans. And anyway, a while back, I asked them, hey, would you ever be willing to help out the volunteer fire department? And Alan and Renee said, yes, we'll be there. What do we need to do? And I said, do what you do. Like, it's just awesome seeing, how you're able to do this for the veterans. I just said, could you possibly do it for our volunteer fire department? Anyway, they show up out there in their cowboy hats and their old Western gear, and they cook up some of the best food. If you're familiar with Perini's out in Buffalo Gap,
I am not.
they
Oh,
cook.
wait a minute. No, go ahead.
Anyway,
Tell me more.
It's a favorite. It's a very famous steakhouse. And anyway, Alan and Renee, they have the Perini's cookbook, and that's what all the recipes come from that Perini's everybody kind of wants to come back for that because that's a very special meal. They don't spare any expense. They take care of people.
So is it safe to assume that all the hotels are sold out on event weekend?
Yeah.
Make your reservations ahead of time, or
Yes, sir.
is it even too late now?
We still have some hotel rooms available. We're just about sold out of all the RV spots that we have. We've sold out all the RV spots that are within that campground out there. On the other side of Lake Sweetwater Dam at the Lake General Store. We have a few spots that are left for it. On our website, we have hotel partners, and we have plenty of hotels here in Sweetwater, but we've mainly partnered with 5 of the hotels, and they provide discounts to anyone that participates in the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind or Trail Run. So anyway, like I said, it's just another way the community gets behind us.
So speaking of your website, what is your website address for people that are interested in finding out more?
It's tough to remember. Rattlesnakegravelgrind.bike.
.bike.
Yeah.
.bike.
Yeah. So, we tried to make it as simple as possible and tie it back to the name of the event, the best we could. And luckily that was available and we jumped on it.
Very good. Was .com not available, or you just opted for .bike?
I just thought .bike would be better. And so, whenever it was available, I took it and ran with it.
If .com's available, I'd suggest it. That's just a suggestion.
Sure.
Anything anybody needs to know about, or as for the latest news, is that going to be on your website, or should they go to the social medias or anything like that?
Sure. Website and social media. We also have an email campaign that goes out and keeps people informed. Earlier this week, we sent out an email. Trek is behind us. They've been very good to us ever since the beginning. And they're actually going to give away 2 Trek checkpoints at the Friday evening dinner. So everybody should have received an email on how to sign up for that. Right now it's included with the registration, to where as they're going through registration, they can register for that checkpoint rifle. But once again, if people have already registered, they need to check that email and go in and register on that link that we sent them. So
very good. Very good. Anything I missed, or anything you want to get out there?
Well, after party, we were talking about the food, and obviously that's one of my favorite things. I'm not going to miss a meal. But we have great live bands, and they're all local. We have had out-of-towners that came in, just in the discussion on the committees and boards and everything that are behind this. We really want to keep it local, and I think people are coming to Sweetwater just to see what Sweetwater's about, and so we just found local people that are willing to get up there and play. Each one of them has 2-hour sets. We start at noon on Friday and Saturday, and they go till 8 p.m. So anyway, we try to cover all the bases. The primary focus of the gravel grind is just hospitality. And I think that's one thing that the Sweetwater JCs really have done well with. If anybody in this community has learned about anything with an event, it's probably from the Sweetwater JCs and how well that they treat people whenever they come down for the Rattlesnake Roundup. And in seeing that, and with the JC's involvement in the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, the whole community just tries to take care of everybody and make sure that everybody feels welcome whenever they're here. So that's essentially the cornerstone, I guess, if you will, of the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, is just hospitality.
Well, it definitely sounds like something to look forward to. I'm planning to come out that weekend. I don't know exactly what that looks like for event day for me just yet, but we're going to try to drag a crew this way and have a little bit of a Club Ministry gathering spot at the campground. There's tent camping too, correct?
Tent camping is free.
Okay.
And we have plenty of room for that. If you noticed when we were out at the park a little bit ago, where the amphitheater is, that's where the RVs are. and we're going to try to encourage the people that are tent camping to be in the north part of it. There's more than enough room out there for everybody, but we're going to try to utilize the entire park and make sure that it's safe for.
What would you guess the percentage of folks is that shall be
were
that actually stay over Saturday night as opposed to just hopping in their cars and going home? How good of a party crowd do you have on Saturday night?
There's a good bit that sticks around. Now, like I said, for that recovery ride on Sunday morning, there probably would have been a whole lot more people, but then the wind was really blowing.
The wind was dissuasive to some.
It was. But yeah, a lot of people hang around afterwards, and I think because we provide something for people to do afterwards, they're more likely to stick around.
That is, I don't know if unique's quite the right word, but it's not the norm. So I like it a lot. I think y'all have sounds like just a fantastic weekend set up. I've heard nothing but good things about it over the years. I'm very excited that we don't have a conflict this year, and that I'm going to be able to come out and join with y'all and help point some more people your way.
Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you putting that ride together. The Ramble to the Rattlesnake is.
We'll see how many people actually pull it off, and we'll see if I can actually put a decent route together. I was really happy yesterday with the first part of it. That was really special. This last end coming into Sweetwater was really good. I just need to kind of fill in that gap in between, make it a little more impressive.
But, plenty of dirt roads around here, and you'll find it. But
we'll figure it out.
What I would say is stick with it. It's one of those deals you kind of gamble on the first year to see if it's a go.
That's what we like about the club Spinistry model. If we have 3 people or if we have 300, it's
gonna have fun either way.
Gonna have fun either way. David, I definitely do appreciate your time. I'm not kidding. I'm looking extremely forward to spending the weekend with y'all. And I think anybody that's listened all the way to the end here, you've already convinced yourselves you need to be here that weekend as well. It is March 22nd.
Yes, sir. That's the main event. We kick off the pre-rides March 19th. And once again, we'll have that recovery ride on Sunday morning. So we cover all the bases.
Rattlesnake gravelgrind.bike, correct?
.bike.
Go sign up right now.